Good evening, everyone. We will go ahead and get started.
Recording in progress.
And before we call the meeting to order, we will hear public comments on agenda items. And the first person we'll hear from is Reverend Kevin Crumpton. And he is here to speak on the ordinances regarding the proposed 1-cent sales tax.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Reverend Crumpton, currently the director for the GVI, and based on the conversations that I'm having with a lot of the young people, I'm kind of like a voice for them. And their concern is that once they get out of school, since a lot of schools are now having kids out for 3 weeks and 2 weeks, is that they don't have anything to do but hang out at Walmart. And so now that's the meeting place now. And I'm also having a lot of young people that's picking up a lot of shoplifting charges because that's the hangout spot. Then I also have a son, and about another year, he'll be coming out as a doctor, and his desire is to come back to Pine Bluff. And he want to be a dermatologist, so he want to help us out. But the only problem is that we got to make sure we have something in place for our young people. Now, I'm a young man, I say 55, but I hear both sides of the tax. I hear the yays and the nays. But if we don't do something, we're going to stand a chance of losing and not going forward. And so I had an opportunity to sit down with some pastors, and we met, and we didn't even really eat breakfast because our concern was that we want the city to go forth. And in order for the city to go forth, we want everybody that's here that's under the sound of my voice to kind of think about what's best for the generations to come. And think about how things are moving around in other areas. And we just might be just sitting back watching them. So my most important thing that I want to leave as far as the young people, they said we got to have something for our young people. And if we don't have anything for our young people, we got a small percentage that I can say. With 6th Division, they're doing an outstanding job with the youth that's on paper and some that are not. But 5 years from now, or when they turn 18, they become an adult problem. And from my experience of being a high-risk probation officer, a lot of the kids that I were their probation officer have died because they didn't have nothing to do once they turned 18. So I'm asking you with these brilliant minds to come together and see if we can move the city forward and not backwards. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor
Any
Crumpton.
questions?
Okay, thank you very much. And next on the list is Ms. Harden here? Okay. And next on the list then from there is Reverend Jesse Turner.
Mayor, City Council members, I'm here to pray tonight, but also I want to say something about the ordinances that are before you tonight. I just want to remind all of us that You were elected to represent and be the voice for the people on legislation that has been brought before you. However, tonight, we have a different scenario. The mayor has presented legislation to put before the voters a proposal that only the voters can approve or disapprove. As council members, you have the right to make decisions, but you do not have the right to silence the voice of the voters, the voice of the people that you represent, by making the final decision at this council tonight. Therefore, we urge you to ensure that the public voices are heard regarding this ballot issue. Some of you may agree with this measure, while others may disagree. But it ultimately lies in the hands of the people, because it is the people's money. And the people need to have the right to say yay or nay. They know best how to spend their own hard-earned money. Let the people decide tonight when you vote. Give them that opportunity to go to the polls and vote yay or nay. They deserve an opportunity to express their approval or disapproval. And it is their right, their money. Your vote tonight will begin the discussion, and a campaign will ensue for people to say yay or nay. But if you stop it here tonight, you silence the voices of the citizens of this city. The same voices that voted to put you up here, believing that you would do the things that would allow them their freedom on any issue. Only the voters can pass taxes. You will not be the ones to do it. All you are doing tonight is to say, we want to let you decide. I may have a different opinion, but I want to let your voice be heard. So I speak to you tonight because city business is the people's business, and the people decide, not the council, regardless of how you feel or what you think. Give the people the right to vote. So I encourage you tonight to vote yes on this legislation. It is something that the people need to make that decision on. So I thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for allowing me to stand here and voice my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Turner. And finally, in the absence of Ms. Sharon Harden, who had also signed up to speak, we have Mr. Maulud Bahati.
Good evening, Mayor Flowers, members of the City Council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about the Mayor Flowers 1 cent tax proposal. So I'm gonna give a brief story before I give my opinion. I moved here to Palm Bluff in 2013 as owning my first business at the Pines Mall. And it was an opportunity. And I was sold White Pine Bluff before I moved from Oklahoma City. But guess what? When I moved to Palm Bluff, I made money that I did not make in Oklahoma City. So I lived here enough to know the potential that the Pine Bluff has to offer. And then also I lived here enough to know otherwise. When I drive around the streets, when I go down on downtown, I know we need lights, there is a need for a good infrastructure. Because in order to entice businesses to move and invest in Pine Bluff, the infrastructure is the first thing that they see. It's the community development. And also that we as a community have to be part of that change that we seek to see in our communities. So when we spend 1 cent that each one of us has somewhere in their car or their pocket, they don't know what to do with it, it's better to put it to work towards the growth of the city of Pine Bluff. Today is not to talk about politics or personal interests, but is for the benefit of the city of Pine Bluff. And I'm here to express my support for Mayor Flowers' proposal of 1 cent tax, who's going to be one of the vehicles of change in the city of Pine Bluff. And that going to allow the support for safety in town, to build good infrastructure, and they're going to help benefit the community in Pine Bluff. So I encourage the members of the City Council, the community in Pine Bluff, to see this 1 cent tax as an opportunity to be part of the change in Pine Bluff and not as a burden. Thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you so much,
You're
Mr. Bahadi. Okay, with that, we will call this meeting to order and ask that Reverend Jesse Turner of Elm Grove Missionary Baptist Church please join us back at the podium to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we come before you. We know that you are one God, one Lord. We call you Allah. We call you Elohim. We call you Yahweh. And we call you Jehovah. But you are one God that loves us all. So we come before you tonight asking your blessings upon this city council, this mayor, and the members who represent the people of this city. Give them the encouragement that they need to let voices be heard. For you hear us when we call you. You hear us. And we ask that the council will also do the same. Bless them in a special way. Whatever they stand in need of, whatever problems may be in their life, bless them. Strengthen them. Now as they come to do the business of this city, let them keep the people first, that things may be done decent and in order. Let the meeting represent that tonight. We ask all of these things in the name of your Son, Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, we pray. Amen, and thank you, God. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We will start by asking Madam Clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Mays?
Here.
Councilmember Holcomb?
Here.
Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Lockett?
Here.
Councilmember Frazier?
Here.
Councilmember Brunton?
Here.
Councilmember Denton?
Here.
And Councilmember Fails?
Here.
Thank you. Next, we will hear our committee reports, and we will start with Councilmember Brown to deliver his report on Ways and Means.
Thank
you, Mayor. Ways and Means met earlier today for our budget meeting. We had we had some change requests, and all of those were approved and sent to the full council with a due pass. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And next, we will hear from Councilmember Holcomb to deliver his report on the Ordinances and Resolutions Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 3 ordinances, number 1, 2, and 3 are all up for the third and final reading. 4, 5, and 6 are all resolutions, and they will be completed on tonight, giving us 6 agenda items. That concludes ordinance and resolutions.
Thank you. Councilmember Frazier, will you please deliver your report on Economic and Community Development?
Thank you, Mayor. No report since our last meeting.
Thank you. Councilmember Denton, will you please deliver your report on Public Health and Welfare?
Madam Mayor, we had met on last week to approve the budget for public health and welfare, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Lockett, will you please deliver your report on Public Works Committee?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor, we met in our public hearing to discuss the budget of Public Works, and I'm having a problem, Madam Mayor. We adjusted this 45,355 out of the budget to make it balanced. I see it's still unbalanced. Could the Finance Director explain this?
Can you, as she makes her way to the podium, can you be more specific? She'll know what she's
Yes,
responding to.
ma'am, the street department had a negative balance of 45,355. Now, we made a proposal to subtract that from
That's
one.
a decrease.
It's in the proposed changes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we did that in Ways and Means earlier.
Okay, I just, looking at this, it doesn't show up here, but all the other changes that we had for other meetings, but as long as it's adjusted out.
It's on the second page.
Second page of this document?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's it.
See, it's going to show, it's showing as a decrease.
Well, the parentheses is always showing that it's a,
Open and close parentheses.
it's always,
It's just like that it's decreased.
the parentheses means it's decreased?
It depends on if you're talking about revenue or expense. So-
Okay.
And this
This was the
expense,
expense.
so since they were over budget, we're taking it out.
Okay. I'm just confused in that, okay. Yeah, that's, as long as we got it balanced, as long as the street budget is balanced.
It's balanced. When you
Okay,
get your
okay.
new reports, everything will be 0.
Okay, since I don't have the budget book, I guess it doesn't show. But I was just seeing this number here when it, and then the others. Okay, that's the only thing that I had. We moved the Public Works budget to the council with a due pass with the adjustment for the 45,355.
Okay,
That ends my report, Madam Mayor.
thank you. Councilmember Fells, will you please deliver your report on Development and Planning?
Development and Planning met earlier this week. We had-
Wait, hold on just a second, Alec. You're not, can you speak? Is it on? Tap it. Okay, it's on.
So, Development and Planning, we met earlier this week, and we forwarded our budget recommendations to the Ways and Means Committee, and we'll be announcing our January meeting coming soon. That concludes my
Thank
report.
you. Thank you, Councilmember Fells. Councilmember Brunson with, can you please deliver your report on Traffic and Aviation?
Thank you, Mayor. Traffic and Aviation does not have the reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Holcomb, will you please deliver your report on the Administration Committee?
Yes, Mayor, the Administration Committee met last Friday, December the 19th, and completed its budget process and sent its budget to the full council with a due pass. That completes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember. And last but not least, Councilmember Brown, will you please deliver your report on the Public Safety Committee?
Yes, Mayor. Public Safety met on Wednesday, December the 17th, and we heard from the various departments that report to Public Safety. All of those recommendations were sent to the full council with a due pass, which was sent to Ways and Means, and those were approved and sent to the full council with a due pass as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. And now we will move on to the proposed ordinances and resolutions. Councilmember Holcomb.
Agenda item number 1, an ordinance abolishing the Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, dissolving the Urban Renewal Agency Board of Commissioners, and discharging the members thereof of further responsibility as board members, providing for the transfer of all assets and liabilities of the Urban Renewal Agency to the City of Pine Bluff, and for related purposes, up for the third and final reading.
An ordinance abolishing the Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, dissolving the Urban Renewal Agency Board of Commissioners, and discharging the members thereof of further responsibility as board members, providing for transfer of all assets and liabilities of the Urban Renewal Agency to the City of Pine Bluff, and for related purposes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that item number 1 be adopted. Any discussion? Okay, so I will go ahead and make my remarks and be happy to answer any questions. So earlier in the year, I began a conversation toward a process to do this very thing. And we stopped that process because the council, and rightfully so, suggested that before we engage this vote, that we needed to talk to the people, that we needed to begin the process with town hall meetings and educate the people. And that's exactly what we did. We engaged several interviews, posted the information that we collected in doing our due diligence. We held 6 town hall meetings. Several council members were present at least one, and took a lot of questions and have since been answering questions. But this is not a new issue in that this wouldn't be the first tax. In recent history, we know we had the Penny for Progress as well as the Go Forward initiative. And
Point of order, Madam Mayor. I think you're on the wrong issue. We're dealing with the urban.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Resolution.
Well, you all see where my head is. Yes, thank you so much. On this particular issue, it came up in our last meeting. And this is relevant to what we will be discussing with regard to the tax. The Urban Renewal Agency is a quasi-public-private entity that is essentially a city-funded department with its own independent board. When I was in the process of attending meetings, budget meetings last year as a part of transition, I met with former Mayor Washington, along with Chandra Griffin, who is Executive Director for Urban Renewal Agency, as well as Dr. Ryan Watley, who is the CEO for the private partner from the previous tax initiative and in partnership with Urban Renewal. And what I listened to and observed and asked questions about, of course, was what would be the city's obligation as the 2 projects that were being worked on at the time were looming and coming to completion, as well as the fact that there was no additional revenue coming in since the previous tax initiative had ended funding the tax initiative last September. And what I was told in that meeting is that it would be 2 years before the completion and launch of both of the projects. Of both of the projects. And after those 2 years, when the funds for operations was depleted, the city's obligation would kick in as it relates to operations. And I was told that urban renewal had all of the money it needed to complete the construction of both projects, FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and had enough money for 2025 and 2026, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be incorrect on that. Definitely 2025, to actually fund, no, it was both years, because that would fund urban renewal, which is certain expenses that go along with maintaining an office and the salary for Director Griffin. And I know it was 2 years because the blanket discussion and the blanket point was that they had enough money to manage the projects and run urban renewal for another 2 years before we would be asked to come up with any money outside of operations, but that we would be expected to pay for operations. So fast forward, also in that conversation, Mayor Washington noted that we would see some more dollars trickle in from late taxes that were paid through the state, and that she estimated that would be somewhere around $30,000. So fast forward, we get toward the end of the year, and turns out that was not $30,000, it was about $860,000. There was a budget amendment, which at the time we did not require there to be a resolution to pass a budget amendment. There was a budget amendment to the 2024 budget. The year ended without that money being transferred. I came into office and had several conversations and meetings from earlier this year to recently, and my point was I was not going to transfer that money in, because from my understanding and from my reading, the way that expenses have been paid for have been through invoices. And that budget amendment gave no specifics on how that $860 would be spent. And I have had discussions with our director as well as council members who also confirmed that that is not how we do things, and that we do not just transfer a swath of money without knowing what it would be spent on. I made my commitment to the completion of the project, but that we would do it right. Fast forward to our budget meeting recently, and let me make sure I give you the correct numbers. In that budget meeting, we were presented with a urban renewal budget of $175,800, with a 6th and Main, now Simmons Bank Park budget of $301,600, and the go-kart track budget of $331,600. And the bottom line is we're looking at over $800,000 that would be an unexpected expense. And the expectation was for, in addition to that, the city to still turn over the $860,000 while we still are obligated to, especially at least for the Simmons Bank Park project, to pay for the operations, which it has opened. It is a beautiful facility. We have 3 restaurants, and that revenue brings in, I believe, $4,500 a month. We just got our first payments for December, which obviously that comes nowhere close to covering the budget for $301,600. So initially, I proposed this so that everything could transfer over to the city, we could save money, and I've talked to you all in many ways that we would save money. But I also recently, probably about three and a half weeks ago, had a conversation with the board president, and I'm speeding this up because there's really a lot more detail, but the bottom line is we have been working on a compromise. And what Mr. Dell asked for was 1 more year to extend the life of urban renewal. And in that year, we would have the time to complete the project, which we do have a scheduled meeting with the contractor next week to get more information about what that looks like. When I pulled it down from our last meeting, I pulled it down because we were in talks. And we are still in talks. But my concern is that we still have to fund the position in order for Simmons Bank Park to be operated properly and according to the agreement that the city made with Simmons to receive the final $2 million to complete that project, which came along also with the naming rights, as well as what I would call a clawback, so that if we are not properly operating that facility, then Simmons could basically take their portion of the land donated back and offer it to another organization to run, or they could run it themselves. And, you know, I think that we have made too great an investment and engaged in a partnership toward the opening of this facility. And I think that obviously we need to do something different. I wanted to share that information publicly and close with, we are waiting to hear back from Urban Renewal. In the last meeting that we had in Council Member Fell's committee, that morning I had learned that there is $790,000 in reserve, which I believe that Urban Renewal is doing their due diligence at this time to transfer those funds to their construction line item so that they can spend that money on the necessary remaining construction costs. And with that, in that meeting, I agreed that in order to get them with that money, the existing $14,000 that's in the account, that we could take $60,000 of the $860 to transfer it to that construction account so that they would have enough money to trigger the private funds, which would come from the Go Forward nonprofit. Dr. Watley successfully raised $1.2 million to complete construction on these projects, and that would provide enough dollars to make it make sense for us to continue with this project to completion this year, and instead change the abolishment or the dissolution to December 31st, 2026, rather than immediate. However, we still need to and this is one thing that Mr. Dell was willing to do, is to transfer ownership of Simmons Bank Park to the city. And we were at a stalemate about transferring the position. But if we don't transfer the position, then how would the position be paid for? So my point in providing all of this information is to let you know that we are still in the midst of a compromise. I believe we are most of the way there. I'm not sure if it would be appropriate, and I would ask Madam City Council, Madam Attorney, City Attorney, whether or not we could amend this ordinance to add a date of December 31st, 2026, according to the board president's discussion with me and Councilmember Brown. The both of us were in that meeting, myself in person and Councilmember Brown by phone. Could we do that? Could we make that change to the ordinance and move it forward, or would it have to go back to committee?
I believe it's a significant change that we can go back to the
Okay.
committee.
So if we made that amendment, would it just go back, or is it significant enough where we would need to do a new, a clean and new ordinance?
I believe at this point, you could just, at this point, someone withdraw the second, someone withdraw the motion, and then pull it, and then we'll send it back to the committee, and then bring it back, and it will be on its third reading.
Well, with that, I would entertain a motion to make that amendment.
Can I say this right quick?
Yes.
You know, we are, right here, the city council, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Thank you. We are the city council. I mean, really, we don't have to go through Simmons Bank to do nothing. That's what y'all do. You took, them bankers want to run this thing, just like in the movie Roots. The bankers want to run everything. We're the city council. I mean, really?
So,
Let me finish. And then when you buy in, take something from them bankers, you got to answer to them. I say, you know, I mean, really? Go ahead.
So I think that the concern that Councilmember Mays is expressing now is one he expressed in the council, in the committee meeting. And for whatever anybody's position was at the beginning of the process, the bottom line is there is a public-private partnership. Simmons Bank did commit and donate part of the property as well as the closing dollars to complete the project. And it is our responsibility in terms of operations. So, you know, to say that we can't put someone else or another entity or another business, in position to do that, I mean, the partnership is there and the project is complete. And we have Pine Bluff businesses operating in the Simmons Bank Park, and it is now a part of this city's retail and business and tourism local fabric. So I hear what your concern is, council member, but to that I would just say we're already doing it. We're already in it. And either we are going to throw away the investment that we've made, or we're going to make good on the obligation to run the operations of that facility. I think that maybe if no one is interested in making the amendment, Madam City Attorney, would we just pull it down or what could I do at this point so that we can progress at the point where we see that the Urban Renewal Agency has transferred the money so that they can pay their bills?
At this point, I would just suggest that if there's no motion, I would suggest that it just be pulled. And in order to pull it, the motion would have to be withdrawn, and the second would have to be withdrawn, and then that way it could go to the appropriate committee so that they could discuss the amendment. And we can amend it. Yes, that's correct.
All right. So I need to take back my second, right? Okay, let me say this first. Simmons Bank don't run the city council in Pine Bluff. And they want to run the whole city from Simmons Bank. They don't live here, a lot of them. But y'all know what's going on the inside. Them bankers at Simmons Bank set up there and want to run the city like it's 1910. All right, I'm going to pull back my second.
You move your second, I remove my adoption.
Thank you. So the motion and second have been rescinded, and I will ask that this ordinance be pulled until further information and direction from the Urban Renewal Agency.
Madam Mayor, can I just make one comment?
Sure.
I know because of the FOIA that only one council member can be in a meeting as such, but as a member of this body, I feel that whatever the mayor and any council member meet on, because they can't include us all, that somehow we get a written transcript or something that said what transpired, or else you get a situation where one council member gets to have more information than the others, and that's just not fair. And you can't expect us to make a decision based on conversation that you and maybe another council member has made. So I just request that whenever one has to do that, that the rest of us get some kind of written summary of what transpired in that meeting.
That's fair, and I can do that. I just, though, would note that I wasn't asking for you to make the decision at this point because we hadn't completed anything. I mean, we're really still waiting. So without the full compromise being brought to fruition just from that conversation, and I understand what you're asking, and I don't have any problem with that, with communicating that in the future. I was just trying to get the measure changed, and we can do it another way, but we've got to do something. We can't, and you and I talked about this the other day a little bit when I briefed you, and I think we still had 3 members after the committee meeting, and I know that's not everybody. It is challenging to try and inform when things aren't finished yet. And I just want everyone to know that there was no, and never is an effort to not share information, but I think the information has to be ripe, and I need an opportunity to make sure that what I send is correct. I didn't even say anything. I just pulled it last time because I knew that we were in the process, and it wasn't until after that that I found out that there was money in the reserve. So sometimes these conversations have to flesh out from more conversation and more sort of information gathering before I can share and avoid giving incomplete information. And all I was trying to do today is to sort of offer everyone who is here, council and the public, what this is about. That's all. And try to make some changes so we can get to some resolution. But I do, point well taken, and I have absolutely no problem making some sort of written memo or something of the like if there has been a meeting that a member has participated in with me. And for the record, I asked Councilmember Brown, because he chairs or as acting chair of Ways and Means.
I just got one more comment.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I think you're oversimplifying this urban renewal thing. It's more moving parts than just dissolving it. I mean, they got property, they got projects, they got contracts, so.
Well, you mentioned that to me when we talked about it the first time, and I actually have gotten some data that the only project that I'm aware of after asking them and the director, finance director, is the go-kart track. And I promise you I'm not oversimplifying it. If I could document the amount of time that I've spent in doing my due diligence, it is not oversimplifying. I'm just trying to not talk too long and give too much information without all of the information at this point. But there is no oversimplification. There are a lot of moving parts, and I have, as I mentioned, we're meeting with the contractor next week. I had a conversation with the manager for the project with that company, and gained a lot more understanding about where we are. But I do have more information to share if you'll just be a little patient with me. But I am doing my due diligence.
Can I say something?
Councilmember Mays.
Yeah, I'd like to say, who's running Pine Bluff? The city council?
We are.
Or Simmons Bank?
Yeah, we are. No one has suggested that any bank, any business, any one person is running. The people elected us. The people elected us.
Right.
And we are making decisions up here that no one else is up here but us. Councilmember Holcomb.
Agenda item number 2, an ordinance providing for the levy of a new 1% sales and use tax within the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas for a period of 10 years and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto, for the third and final reading.
An ordinance providing for the levy of a new 1% sales and use tax within the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas for a period of 10 years and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that item number 2 be adopted. Any discussion? Okay. I already started with this, and I'll just go down the list of points that I think need to be made that might precipitate questions, might not. I have long said, contrary to inaccurate commentary, that we need revenue. As state representative for over a decade, I have watched the issues and the needs grow in Pine Bluff. And I have never been of the mind, have never said that we don't need a tax and that we don't need the revenue that would come from the tax. What I have always been certain of is that in proposing and implementing a tax, there needs to be optimal transparency and accountability, and that the decision-making needs to come from the people who are elected by the people. Moreover, at the time that I was involved in, or not really involved, but making my concerns known when the 2017 sales and use tax was coming up for a vote, and all of the campaigning was happening. I made those points and talked about how we needed to be a lot more aggressive in partnering with UAPB. Those were my issues, and those were the reasons why I was opposed to how we were doing it previously. We've had, as I mentioned when I started speaking on the wrong issue at the top of the meeting, we've had several town hall meetings, and I've done several interviews. I've had numerous conversations with members of the council, at least one with everyone. So I think that what I would like to do is just synthesize the main points. Obviously, as we have been talking about and working on issues surrounding youth investment, economic development, and public safety, those would be the primary issues that we would focus on. There are numerous needs, but more importantly, many opportunities to see this city grow. And you heard from members, citizens of this city who spoke to those needs. And I think, you heard about the jobs and the lack of opportunity that have left here. So whether you're looking at the decline in our population that has not let up and won't until we do something proactive to address the issues that are preventing people from visiting, from staying, and from moving here, we will not have the kind of opportunities for young people and young professionals, young families to move here, to open businesses, to stay here and work. Not only have we seen a decline in the population, we have also seen a decline in our business growth. And we've seen the closure of many businesses. And I don't have to tell you all that. That's a huge issue, because the bottom line is whatever kind of progress you want to see, whether it's a park or potholes in our streets, lighting, our support of our schools, a grocery store, youth projects, city parks, you name it, repairing the port, recruiting businesses. We just heard from the retail strategies company that we have contracted for 3 years, and we're paying them to help us recruit. And while I'm excited that Roses is here, we have to pay someone to draw one business here. We have to do more. No one is coming to save us if we don't take action to save and help ourselves. The second major issue that really has only come to my attention in my first process in getting a budget passed as mayor is the budget. And I've talked about it, and I had an open conversation, and I think that Councilmember Fells appropriately talked about how words matter, and I agree that words matter. Words matter certainly in terms of how we characterize our city, and words matter in terms of how we lead and how we describe our problems and our people. And I would be less than honest, less than forthcoming if I did not sound the alarm that if we, in 2023, brought in $200,000 less than what we were spending, $2 million in 2024, over $2 million in 2025, and the budget we just passed, $2 million less in revenues than what we've spent. Even with carryover, because we are paying more for insurance, because we are continuing to lose people, how it felt and looked the last several years with the federal funding that we had, it will not look the same. And if we do not do something proactive, next year the budget process will be a conversation about cuts in services, cuts in jobs. That is just real. That is the truth. Number 3, the forensic audit that we promised. We have made good on that. This council was proactive along with this mayoral administration to identify money in the carryover earlier this year. We went through a stringent RFP process. We selected a firm out of Columbia, Maryland, which really is a national firm. And we met with them over 2 weeks ago to begin the phase 1 of that process. So not only is that underway, but they will deliver a preliminary report by mid-February. And that preliminary report will specifically focus on the 2017 sales tax expenditures and monies that were generated from that tax for 7 years. Number 4, one lesson that we can learn from the previous tax is about transparency and accountability. Not just a gotcha, who did something wrong and suspicion, but putting controls in place so that anyone contracting, receiving any of these tax dollars will know that every 2 years there will be a forensic audit. That's taking a preventive measure to ensure that we won't see some of the theft, fraud, waste, and abuse that we saw in that last iteration, or what we have seen in our city with parks. So that measure is built in the language of this ordinance. So throughout the 10-year period, which does sunset the whole tax, every 2 years there would be a forensic audit. Now, for anyone that takes issue with the tax itself and saying we don't need the tax, we absolutely do. I just mentioned all the ways in which we are challenged through our budget, through decline in population, decline in business starts, increase in business closure. And that doesn't mean nothing good is happening, because we know it is. But when we have those challenges and we are competing not only with ourselves, but with other cities in the region and other cities in the state, we have to be mindful that all over the state, thriving communities have passed and are proposing taxes for economic development and public safety. Bella Vista, renewal of an existing 1-cent sales tax on the ballot. Berryville, extending or renewing an existing .5 sales tax. Boonville, 1 cent. Bryant, half a cent. Cherry Valley, 1 cent. Dardanelle, 1%. El Dorado, 1%. El Dorado was the model for what we sought to do with our last tax. But we did not mimic some of the measures that we will try to mimic this time, that we will mimic in terms of accountability and transparency. Hamburg, 1 cent. Molina, 1 cent. Marion, 1 cent. Parkin, 2 cent. Russellville, 1 cent. Pine Bluff, 1 cent. You can look this up on DFNA. Cherokee Village is exploring a sales tax to increase, to make an increase. Fayetteville, which enjoys plenty of private investment, 1 cent. Fort Smith extending their sales tax. Conway, the fastest growing city in Arkansas, multiple sales taxes on the ballot. If all approved, the rate would increase by 0.75 from a 2.25 to 3.0 sales tax. West Memphis just passed a sales tax. Portland, the sales tax increase was implemented in April of 25. Hope, a sales tax increase was implemented in April of 25. Searcy and Paragould also implemented sales taxes in July of 2024. And we're not the highest taxing city we are the 10th largest. Out of the 10 largest cities, we are number 3 with the lowest sales tax of 1.625. So the notion that we would somehow be doing something to our citizens rather than making investments to compete with other cities that are raising revenue to improve economic development is false. The longstanding needs. We can talk all day long about the problems, the challenges, the longstanding needs. Many of you have served for years attempting to address, watching these issues occur while we did not spend dollars on areas like deferred maintenance, like our roads, like the lighting in the city, and I could go on. If we want to make investments and truly protect our people, truly assist the police department and especially the fire department that for years have struggled to do the superlative work, the award-winning work that they do without getting all of the resources that they need in a timely fashion. This would change that. The timing. If we put this on the ballot and the people say yes, we still would not begin to collect any taxes until July 1. We would not amass enough revenue until toward the end of the year. So we're not talking about a situation where March 4th, we start collecting taxes and can address all of these needs. It's a process and it takes time. And if we don't do it now, we won't see any additional funds until 2027, and we will have entered into another budget planning cycle with at least $2 million in the red. Some people have asked, what about the casino money? The money that has been generated from Saracen has been extremely helpful as the city has been able to pay more competitive wages to city employees and address many other issues. But this money does not go toward, and you all know this, most people don't. The revenues from Saracen do not go into a Saracen pot, and then we decide where we can spend this extra money. It is not extra money. It is part of the general fund. And so as we have continued to lose people, just since the last census, where we had almost 42,000 people, we are now, 5 years later, at 37,500 and growing. That is why there is no extra pot of money. There is no surplus from the dollars that we get from Saracen. Everyone here understands that even with the Saracen money, we are still $2 million in the red until and unless we have ample carryover funds. And we all know that the carryover funds that we have enjoyed will not be the same now and in the future because we are actually fully funding our public safety departments. And if I could offer an analogy, if you have a house of 10 people and everybody puts their share in the pot, and the next year one person leaves, and the next year a second person leaves, and so on, and you get down to 5 people, but the house is the same, the rent is the same, utilities have gone up, those 5 people have to pay what is necessary for everybody in that house to live. But now, you got to pay to fix the cracks in the driveway. You got to pay to fix the roof, like we have to pay to fix the roof at Opportunity House. Like we have to pay to fix the roof at City Hall, where we have buckets on the floor strewn throughout the police department and the fire department. You all know that. Number 9, this is not an easy decision, and it certainly wasn't easy for me as a new mayor to present another tax, knowing that people have reservations, knowing that people are struggling. But what I also know is if we don't do anything, they will struggle more. If we don't do anything, more people will leave. If we don't do anything, more businesses will close. And all of the people who we know are struggling the hardest, the least of these, they will be left right here, struggling even harder, even more, while every one of us sitting on this dais will still get our checks, still have our jobs, still be able to pay our insurance, still be able to pay our mortgages, our rent. Let us tonight think about the people who have been driving through these lines to get food. Decent cars. People like the family that our parks director and economic development director and staff helped find housing, who were living, a grandmother living with 3 children in an abandoned house. and had to find her housing. Those 3 children were not doing well in school, being sent home for acting out, not getting basic needs. And because we helped that one family, the children are doing better, they are thriving. The baby hasn't been in trouble for 2 weeks. They have a warm place to lay their head at night that's safe. They have food. That's just one family. We have the power tonight to allow people to choose, and that's what this is about, council members. This is not about whether or not you agree with it. This is about whether or not you afford the people in this city who are struggling, who want to see more, who want to see progress, cast their vote in March. I have promised, if they say no, I will leave it alone, and we will make do with what we have. But don't make the choice for them tonight. And especially, don't make the choice for them tonight if you don't have an alternative yourself to address our lighting, our potholes, our streets, the partnerships with our schools, assisting UAPB, growing downtown, doing something with the properties that the city has purchased with the past sales tax. We have an opportunity to fix our port so that we can bring jobs in partnership with other port cities. We are working on that. If we don't fix the port, the partnership doesn't matter. The jobs will not come. Finally, we've heard a lot about blight, and this is an example of what I'm talking about. Now, the lights, $3 to $5 million. The port, $5 to $8 million. The deferred maintenance just for City Hall, at least $2, if not $3 million. That's going backwards to fix things that we need to get fixed in order to see the progress we need to see. But we've heard a lot about blight. I talked with Director Lockett today. We have around 250 structures that have gone through the process toward demolition. If we had the capacity today, we could go and demolish those properties that are dangerous and that are eyesores, that are places where we know people are sheltering, places where we know people are stealing copper, places where we know that people are doing and cooking drugs. We know this. Without this tax, we do not have the resources to do anything about it. What's the cost? The average cost, $3,500 for the city to do it. Another $5,000, or $5,000 if we contract someone else to do it. So $3,500 to $5,000. Let's say about $4,000 average for those 250 structures. $1 million. That's a lot of money, but in the grand scheme, it's not a lot of money. But guess what? We don't have it extra. Then there's another 250 that we still need to go through the condemnation process. That's another $1 million. I know that we could get that done in a few years and open up that land for development. Work with private owners, beyond that. Y'all, there's a lot of work to do, and I'm here for it. I love my job. I love the city of Pine Bluff, and I work hard every day on the day-to-day so that we can see some improvement, so that we can grow, and so that we can help the many families that I know you all work with and hear from. We are not unlike that house that I created the analogy for earlier in my explanation. People have left, but if we find another resource of funding, just like if the people in that house decided we're going to get another 2 or 3 jobs, we're going to do everything we can to save and help ourselves. We're going to clean up our house. We're going to fix our house. Then we will be in a position to attract visitors and to bring more people home. And with that, I'd be open to any questions.
Mayor.
Councilmember Fells.
So we've had some candid discussions about this sales tax initiative. I've also spoken with a lot of my constituents about this and made my opinion known with the other council members. I can concede that during the campaign, it was no secret, I know because we were at almost every debate together, that you did make it clear that if you were elected, you would be bringing forth a sales tax. And I know at the time, a lot of the contention was people were saying either they did not want a sales tax at all, or there were a lot of people saying they would prefer a sales tax to go forward Pine Bluff was not involved in. And during the campaign, correct me if I'm wrong, you were saying you would be open to bringing forth the sales tax without a third party, with the city council in charge. And election day came and you won the election. Whether people voted for you or not, you won the election. And I am at a point where it's not, I'm not necessarily telling people that they should go out and vote for this, and I'm not telling people that they should not go out and vote for this. What I am saying is that you campaigned on this, you won, and now you're doing what you campaigned saying that you would do, which is bring forth the sales tax. And I'm saying that the people, based on what you have presented tonight, I'm not endorsing this proposal, I'm not against the proposal. But I think that the people of Pine Bluff should be able to review that over the next few months and decide whether or not it meets the standards that they sent you here to propose. And I also think that, as you said, a lot of other cities in Arkansas have been considering sales tax initiatives just recently. Bella Vista, Conway, Sherwood, Sheridan. Even recently in 2024, I believe Little Rock, once again, they considered their sales tax initiative. Some of those were successful, some of those were not successful. But at the end of the day, the people were allowed to decide on that. And I think in the state of Arkansas, there are a lot of decisions that councils make alone. For example, we're going to be voting on the budget tonight. That's not something that traditionally you put on a ballot for all the citizens of a community to vote on. But there are other initiatives like sales tax initiatives where generally you do have that community by voters throughout the community are allowed to come in and make their decision based on that. And I know that there are a lot of people who are saying that why would we consider this sales tax initiative tonight when we just voted down the Go For It tax a couple of years ago? Well, my response to that would be, as stated during the election, multiple candidates ran on that. If the Go For It tax goes down, we will be open to bringing forth a new sales tax where Go For It is not involved. I believe that this tax is different enough from the Go For It sales tax that it at least deserves a chance on the ballot, and people should get out to vote for it. And I would say that if there are people in the community who strongly believe that we should have this tax, this is your opportunity to come out, campaign for it, make your voice known, and go out and actually vote for it. I mean, this is public service, this is politics, this is our community. Everybody has to get involved. Everybody has to get involved, everybody has to play their part. And if you don't believe that this tax should be passed, I can respect that as well. This is your opportunity to get out, vote against it, spread the word, share your concerns, and make sure it's defeated when it comes on the ballot, if it comes on the ballot. And just in terms of, if it is passed, then I believe that would show that that's the will of the community, and as a council, we would have to respect that and make sure that it's executed properly. And I will say that if it goes to the ballot and it's not passed, I can't speak for the full council, but I can speak for myself. I think that that would be a clear indication that the people do not want this proposal, and it shouldn't be presented again anytime soon. I know that the Go For It tax failed, and it was put back on the ballot a couple of weeks later. I disagreed with that at the time. I still disagree with it. I don't think that should have been done, and I don't think that something like that should be done again. Nevertheless, I'll just close by saying that I think if people didn't want a sales tax to be put on the ballot, then they should have voted accordingly. But they voted for you based on you saying that you would do that. That's what you're doing. So you should be given an opportunity to either have it fail or move forward. And it's not an endorsement. It's just giving the people the right to make their decision. And that concludes my remarks for now.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Mays.
Yes. Once again, good evening. You know, first of all, I would say, no. Everybody I cross paths with, I'm saying no. We've been taxed enough. This is what your city council is for. Just give us time to get this thing organized. Everybody putting their hands out, want money from the city. You know, got all kind of groups want money from the city. They don't tell you all that. We got to stop that. You know, they come up here and behind closed doors and talking to whoever. If I say the name, they get mad at me. But they have meetings behind closed doors, and nobody in there with them but them and the bankers. The bankers really try to control the city council, and they're doing it. They don't control me. I can speak for myself. But they don't control me. You got to be careful up here. You see all these politicians going to jail on TV constantly because they mess with that filthy lucre. The Bible calls money, dirty money. Be careful. I'm voting no. And I tell everybody, I say, give us time to get this thing right. You give them some more money, the bankers, they're going to be laughing at us. We'll be laughing stuff. Look at the city. Some of this stuff could have been fixed. You have people in place, they not doing their job. Everybody riding new trucks around the city, the big old trucks, tires big, new tires. You don't see them getting out too much looking at nothing. I'm telling you. Y'all see what I see. Don't be no fools. Don't vote for the tax. I'm done.
Any further discussion? The only thing that I would say is I do agree with and thank Councilmember Fells for his remarks. I would also say that, again, this is not a matter of any council member voting for or against. It is allowing the people to choose and closing off the people's opportunity to make a decision about bringing additional revenue so that we can make the changes that have not been made in the last 10, 15 years. All of the decline that I mentioned and that we know about has happened in that time with no real focus on the things that people continue to speak about and complain about and run on. We can't run on fixing the streets and turn away from the revenue we need to fix them. So with that, with no further discussion, Councilmember Brown, yes.
Yes, and let me say this. I've been receiving calls since I woke up this morning about this tax. Most of those calls were saying, no, don't put this on the ballot for the people to decide. You know, and for whatever reason, they don't want it to hit the ballot because they say, we've already voted it down twice. Well, you voted down a different tax. You voted down the Go For It tax. And people made it clear they didn't want that tax under that system. And like Councilmember Feld stated, when the mayor was running her campaign, she said that she was going to have a tax at some point. And if we're going to trust our mayor to lead the city, to have a vision for the city, then we have to support what she wants to do. And I believe that's something that the voters have to decide. I don't want to make the decision and say no, and that deprives the voters that want it to actually have the tax. I'm not saying I'm for it right now. I'm not saying I'm against it right now. But I really just want to give the people a chance to say that to our new mayor, that they either want this tax or they don't want it. And I agree with Councilmember Fels as well when he says that if it fails, we don't need to bring it back anytime soon because it's loud and clear. They don't want the tax from go forward. They don't want the tax from under the new mayor. They just don't want tax, period. And so I think it should be put on the shelf for a long time. And that's my comment.
Thank you very much. And I'll reiterate that if we allow the people to vote, allow the people to make their voices heard, and they say, no, I'm saying here once again, I will not bring a tax back unless the people say they want it. I won't bring it back.
I have a comment.
Councilmember Brunson.
So I'm listening to Councilmember Fels and I've listened to Councilmember Brown, and I was not going to say anything, but I just want to know, both have said, you know, we're going to make sure we listen to the people. We're going to make sure that, you know, I've got calls that people said no. So when do you listen to them if you have received those calls? So at some point, we have to listen to the people who elected us to do the job that they elected us to do. And sometimes it may seem like it might seem a different way or whatever, but we have to listen. So if you're listening, if they're calling you now and telling you no, are you truly listening to them? So I think we have to be honest, and if everybody has called you and said no, what does this mean for you as a council member? You know, like, we have to make sure that we are doing things decent and in order. We all had agreed on getting a forensic audit. We all are moving in the right direction and making sure that that gets done. Yes, the Go For It tax has been rejected twice. It's not even about the Go For It tax. It was a tax. Nobody is even, most people don't even care if it was a Go For It tax. They saying a tax, period. I don't want a tax, period. And as the people who elected us, are we doing our due diligence as those people who we represent when they're telling us no, to still say, well, okay, I'm gonna come back. I mean, I'm gonna let everybody else vote. I know you told me no, but we're gonna leave it up to the will. Like, at some point, we have to make sure that we're making the right decision, but we also got to make sure we're doing our due diligence as a community, as a city council, and making sure that we understand why that tax was rejected twice, what we can do better, what we can do, what went wrong, and how we can continue to move forward. We have to do that. Like, am I for a tax? I absolutely think we do need a tax, but I also know we need to listen to the will of the people. And as we're going through that process, let's do what we said we were going to do. Let's get this information from the forensic audit. Let's get all that solid information, and let's do what we need to do to put it in front of the people to make sure we have their trust. Because right now, I was set through the Go For It tax or the other tax, and it was horrible. The tension and the divide in this city was horrible from that. And we still feel it right now. So I don't know who everybody else is listening to, but the people who have contacted me, from the everyday people you see in the grocery store to the barbershop to wherever, they are saying no.
Councilmember Fels.
So I would just say, number one, I've heard from a lot of constituents in full transparency who are vehemently against this tax proposal. And I can absolutely see where they're coming from. But like I've also stated, I've also heard from people in the community who have said, whether or not I agree with it or not, we elected Mayor Flowers because we wanted change in this community, and these are the agenda items that we wanted. And so I also have to be responsive to those individuals as well. And I think, like I said, in the state of Arkansas, sales tax initiatives, the city council has the power to put it on the ballot, but we put it on the ballot because it's a decision that's usually made by most of the voters in the community. And I would also say that as council members, yes, we're supposed to be responsive to what our constituents say, but we also have to vote our principles, whether people like it or not. I know that there will be some people disappointed with this decision. At the end of the day, we're not here to be popular. We're here to do what's right for the citizens of Pine Bluff, even if that results in losing our position on the council. And I think that the mayor has made an argument that, I mean, objectively speaking, I mean, every single mayor that we've had most recently has asked for a sales tax. And I think that is because, like you just said, Councilmember Brunson, there is a need in this community. We have a lot of blighted structures. We have a lot of public safety needs. We have a lot of street lights that need to go up. I campaigned on this. Almost everybody at this table will campaign on that. We need more revenue. The question is whether or not the mayor's proposal is the right proposal for that. That's for the people to decide. And I think that when Go Forward came back on the ballot, there are a lot of people in this community, a lot of people who said, we do not want Go Forward back on the ballot. Yet this council made a principled decision. You said, I believe that this is the right thing to do. You put it on the ballot, and the people decided. And then after the people decided, it was still put back on the ballot again, even though the voters said, no, we don't want this, and people were calling and saying, no, we don't want this. But it was still done because people on the council felt it was the right thing to do. I disagree with that, but that was the decision that was made. So I say all of that to say is that Go For Pine Bluff, whether you agree with it or not, they had 2 opportunities at the ballot. The previous mayor had opportunities at the ballot. And whether you voted for Mayor Flowers or not, it's no secret. I worked for the previous mayor, so I'm just saying, whether or not you voted for Mayor Flowers or not, she won the election based on saying that she was going to bring a sales tax, or at least that was a part of your campaign. That's what you're trying to do now. You should have an opportunity at the ballot, and if people don't like it, vote it down. If you like it, vote for it. And then let's just move forward from there. And that's my comments for now.
Thank you, council member. And just real quick, when we hear from people, we're not hearing from everybody. We have 37,500 people in this city. No one up here has heard from everybody. But in a vote scenario, we will hear from the people who wish to come out and cast their vote. And as it relates to taxes, nobody's going to jump up and down and come in here and beat down the door and say, please tax me. But I have not gotten in front of any group or any person who was vehemently opposed, and I presented the information and they left saying, I still can't do this. Not one. Not one. So what I believe, and this is the way the process goes, is we put it on the ballot and afford the mayor, who deals with the day-to-day, to put the information out there. Give us the couple of months. That's the only time you can do it. There can be no campaign without it being on the ballot. And there can be no hearing from everybody without putting it on the ballot. And I can say that there are a lot of issues that this council in the past and will continue to deal with where everybody doesn't understand the nuances, where a lot of people are given misinformation and will call and say what they want to see. Or there are a lot of people who have hidden agendas and may call, or operating on somebody else. And that's not what this is about. Let's remember the people. Again, we can't rest on waiting for information that's not going to change anything. as it relates to this tax and bringing revenue. What it will change is how we continue to operate in transparency and accountability. What it will change is that accounting firm will say, you all need to put these things in place, but we've already started doing that. And there will be no problem putting other ordinances in place to deal with transparency and accountability and fiscal controls. We will do that and remain open to that. But sitting on our hands, waiting for something like that, continues to put us at a competitive disadvantage. It continues to allow people to keep waiting. How many years will we keep waiting? And I'm going to go ahead and call the vote.
No.
Yes. With no further discussion, Madam Clerk, will you please? Go ahead, council member.
I mean, really, that's out of respect.
That's why I said go ahead.
Okay. I'm just saying, I got a lot of phone calls, a lot of them. People see me on the street, in stores, you know, they said, Mays, no, we don't need that. Y'all need to get accountable right now for what's there now. I mean, we want more money, you all want more money, and you got streets out there right now. We got money in the bank now. They always say we don't have no money. It's a city. Everybody's money going into one pot, so you have money. Everybody's money, they call it tax dollars. It goes into one account, one bank, 2 or 3, 4 banks. And then to tell these people you don't have no money for them, y'all better not believe that stuff. They do more wasteful spending up here than anything. I'm done.
To that, I would say that the city council holds the purse strings, and I do not believe that the city council's decisions are wasteful spending. I also know that the city council just passed a budget that puts us underwater until we get the, see what the carryover looks like. So I think that everyone up here has been elected. Everyone up here is going to make a decision to either allow people to cast a vote or disallow them from casting a vote. That's really where we are. With no further discussion, Madam Clerk, will you please call the vote?
Councilmember Mays.
No.
Councilmember Holcomb.
No.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
No.
Councilmember Frazier.
No.
Councilmember Brunson.
No.
Councilmember Denton.
No.
Councilmember Fails.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Before we move on, I will just make a statement that I don't give up. I have said and will continue to say, when the people cast their vote and they say no, I will stop. Until then, I won't. And while I won't bring this before the council again, I will take it to the people. Thank you. Councilmember Holcomb.
Agenda item number 3, an ordinance calling for a special election in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, on the question of levying a new 1% sales and use tax within the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto, for the third and final reading.
An ordinance calling for a special election in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, on the question of levying a new 1% sales and use tax within the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Move for adoption.
Second.
In light of the decision that was just made to vote against the actual levying of the 1% sales tax, there is nothing to put on the ballot. So with that, I would ask Council Members Holcomb and Mays to rescind their motion and second.
I rescind my motion. Agenda item number 4, a resolution adopting the 2026 budget for the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and for related purposes.
Whereas after considered study and review of the proposed budget submitted by the mayor, it is the finding and conclusion that the schedules, exhibits, and other supporting documents constituting said budget are as accurate as possible with respect to anticipated revenues and expenditures and should be adopted as the city's budget for the calendar year 2026. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the mayor's budget, including schedule of changes as laid before this council and set forth in a bound volume, provided each member of the body is hereby approved and adopted and incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that this budget shall be referred to the 2026 municipal budget for Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and each item of expenditure set out therein is hereby approved and adopted for the operation of the city and constituents and appropriate funds for the item and purpose specified. Section 3, this budget may be altered or revised by action of the council in the form of ordinance or resolution, and the funds reallocated as dictated by the needs of the city. Section 4, the lines and provisions of this resolution and of the 2026 budget are declared severable, and the finding that a part thereof is invalid does not affect the remaining lines and provisions, which will continue in full force and effect. Section 6, this resolution takes effect immediately upon adoption.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that item number 4 be adopted. Any discussion? With no discussion, all those who wish to vote for item number 4 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 5, a resolution amending the 2025 municipal budget concerning the Economic and Community Development Department.
Whereas consistent with ordinance number 6849, an adjustment to the municipal budget must be made by ordinance or resolution depending on the form of adoption. And whereas the 2025 municipal budget was adopted by resolution number 4849, and whereas the amendment to the 2025 budget is needed concerning the economic and community development to allocate funds within the department for the purposes outlined in the attached budget adjustment. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the attached budget adjustment has been examined and is approved and incorporated herein as if set forth word for word and number for number. Section 2, the Finance Department will ensure that the budget is implemented as amended.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that item number 5 be adopted. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Mays.
Eric, can you explain this? You took the back part off. I mean, it's a lot of money right here you're asking for.
Director Matthews, would you mind coming to the podium?
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Alderman Mays, those are 24 funds that were left over that we're bringing over into 25. Because the government keeps shutting down and doesn't pass their budgets, this is the soonest that we could bring those 24 funds over to the 25 budget. And when we do the carryover in the next 3 months, we will continue to carry that money over to 26. That's why it hadn't been before the council as of till now.
So you carried it over as 2025.
It's carrying over the 24 monies that were left into the 25 budget. That's why we tried to get it in this evening before 26 hit. Okay. Those are leftover funds that we have not expended.
Any further discussion?
Well, while he's up, can he go and explain the next one?
It's the same situation with the next one. There are different funding sources. One is a home, one is CDBG, and those are the funding programs that we get from HUD.
Any further discussion? Thank you so much, Director Matthews.
Thank you.
No further discussion. All those who wish to vote for resolution number 5 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 6, a resolution amending the 2025 municipal budget concerning the Economic and Community Development Department.
Whereas consistent with ordinance number 6849, an adjustment to the municipal budget must be made by ordinance or resolution depending on the form of adoption. And whereas the 2025 municipal budget was adopted by resolution number 4849, and whereas an amendment to the 2025 budget is needed concerning the Economic and Community Development Department to allocate funds within the department for purposes outlined in the attached budget adjustment request. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the attached budget adjustment has been examined and is approved and incorporated herein as if set forth word for word and number for number. Section 2, the Finance Department will ensure that the budget is implemented as amended.
Move for adoption.
It's been moved and seconded that item number 6 be adopted. Any discussion? With no discussion, all those who wish to vote for item number 6 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. I did not have any announcements, and there also will be no public comments on non-agenda items following adjournment, and so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we are adjourned.
You want to go down there for one?